Now, when we keep talking about this idea of hip dominant, we just talked about hip dominant straight leg. We talked about hip dominant double leg in terms of trap bar deadlift. This is a bent leg, hip dominant exercise. We're going to prioritize hamstrings here. The key with the Slideboard leg curl series is that we're using the glutes as stabilizers and we're employing the two joint function of the hamstring. The hamstring is an interesting muscle because it's going to do two things at the same time. It's going to do two things at the same time in running. It's going to do two things at the same time in running. And basically what it's going to be able to do is control motion at the knee while it assists in motion control at the hip. So first, we're going to start out with the first step of the progression if you have someone who's not very strong. Jonas is going to bring himself up here. He's going to come up. We've got an extension of our bridge. He's got a bridge. He's going to hold tight. Abs are in. And he's going to do 5-second eccentric. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to lay himself down flat, and then he's going to come back up. If you have somebody who's struggling, this is what we want to do. We want to get this eccentric action where they learn to coordinate the hamstring as a synergist of hip extension while it controls leg extension. That's really fundamentally what we're talking about the hamstring doing. It controls leg extension more than it creates knee flexion, so we need to be able to get this function. Once he can do that, then we would move simply to our regular Slideboard leg curl. Go ahead. And again, the key, if you're watching, from his knee to his shoulder, he stays straight. Show him a couple of bad ones here. Let the hips break. Good. Okay, as he pulls himself in, he lets those hips drop. Completely ineffective. You can't do it that way. He's got to be able to hold himself up in extension. He's got to be able to keep his glutes on. He's got to be tight from knee to shoulder. There's no way around that. It's an absolutely useless exercise if he lets those hips drop down. Now, we look at that and say, okay, he can do 10. What do we do? Here's what we do. We simply take a towel, drop it onto our mini Slideboard, take a plate, bumper plate. This is a 10-pound plastic bumper plate or 10-pound rubber bumper plate. Place that on. Now we can get a resisted Slideboard leg curl. The thing I like about Slideboard leg curls, if I have people with back issues, I am going to do primarily Slideboard leg curls versus one-leg straight leg deadlifts, because here I don't have to worry about forward flexion. I don't have to worry about stresses on his low back. I just have to worry about keeping him in good position. If he says he feels this in his back, I'm going to guarantee you he's not being tight in his core. So if someone's saying, oh, I really feel it in my low back, then you've got to really cue them hard to get the abdominal muscles drawn in and the glutes fired to take that pressure off of the back, because you can create some lumbar extension here if you're not doing a good job of stabilizing your pelvis.